We all know that the Game Awards are a complete and total joke. The past decade of this show has just been complete garbage of Jeff Keighley trying to control the discourse in the gaming community by propping up games that nobody cares about, by downplaying all the major Nintendo releases, and just continuing this farce for years. It is embarrassing how, in a lot of ways, the Game Awards is kind of the last stand of gaming journalism because for a brief period of time, game journalists were able to gaslight the masses into thinking the show was unbiased, that the judges weren't paid off, that there was nothing wrong here, that it was all just uh, all of this was done purely out of the love for the medium, and that is very observably not true. Not even looking at the award, but not the real nominees at this point. Just this one spreadsheet, I think, proves something that I've been saying for a very long time, that the Game Awards is disgustingly corporate. Look at this. Most nominated publishers. 19 nominations. Sony Interactive. But we're a completely unbiased game journalism outlet. Oh, we have all these judges from all these different corporations. Yeah, all of which are controlled by Sony. Again, they're at the point now where they feel comfortable not even hiding it. Like, that's how bad this is at this stage, is that they can straight up release a spreadsheet like this and like completely get away with it. The most nominated publishers, 19. Sony Interactive, 6 more nominations than second place Kepler, which I don't even know what that is, but Sony is like, okay, so this is ridiculous in and of itself because there's no way Sony is just that much better than the rest of the competition. But on the flip side, like, what did they even put out this year? What has Sony done to stick out compared to every other video game publisher in the industry? Like, what makes them so spectacular? I can't think of a single thing they released this year. Ghost of Yotoi bombed. Nobody cares about like these third party games anymore. The Switch 2 is out. Like, what did Sony do to stick out from the competition? Like, absolutely nothing. And Jeff is coming out here seriously saying that Sony is the most nominated video game publisher of the year. Unbelievable. Just completely disgusting. But okay, so 13 nominations. Kepler, like I said, I have no idea who that is. So 10 nominations. EA and Microsoft. Microsoft, the company that's been laying people off, leaving the hardware space, and not producing any real video games. And EA is just EA. Like, they shouldn't even be like allowed at this show. Like, this is just appallingly embarrassing. So you have Sony at number 1, and then you have Microsoft at number 3, and then Sega at 4, Supergiant, and Team Cherry. Okay, so do you notice anything about this list? Do you notice anything about the Game Awards this year? Are you paying any attention at all to what Jeff is doing? Like, there is no Nintendo at all. You know, Looking at this list, you would think Sony Interactive Entertainment, PlayStation, is at the top of the gaming world right now, and they're just not. That is just the reality of it, is that they're not competitive, they're not doing anything, they haven't put out anything of value in their entire history, and yet they're still winning these video game nominations, while Nintendo doesn't even get 5. They are getting less nominations than Team Cherry for putting out a disappointing Hollow Knight DLC. Okay. And look at this. Like, they gave more nominations to Supergiant for Hades 2, which is even worse. Like, this entire list makes no sense. Like, Sega, what did they put out this year? What did they do? Like, this is just a complete and total joke. Like, it is so embarrassing how the video game industry has tried gaslighting you into thinking that Nintendo isn't relevant and the Switch 2 isn't doing well. Like, this is, I think, like, their big push to try and, like, bury Nintendo Switch 2. This is gonna be like the game journals coming out and trying to say that, like, formally, that Nintendo had a disappointing year and that they can't compete with Sony and Microsoft. And, like, that's just so obviously not true that I don't even want to, like, see them try it. Like, honestly, like, I'm calling them out on this right now. Like, this is completely unacceptable. Like, how can you downplay Nintendo Switch 2, the fastest selling console ever, with the new Mario Kart game, a new Donkey Kong game, Pokemon Legends EA, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment, Kirby Air Riders, Metroid Prime 4. Like, Air Riders and Metroid Prime 4 haven't even come out yet. And they are announcing nominees for the game of the year. Like, this is laughable. In that we have two of the biggest Nintendo games this year aren't even out yet, and they're already making these grand statements. Like, well, they're not good enough to compete with the real game of the years. No. Like, the game of the years can't compete with Nintendo games. I've been saying this for a long time, but the average Nintendo game is better than the game of the year nominees. Like, every single time Nintendo stomps these things out into irrelevancy, into dust, and yet we're supposed to believe when Jeff Keighley's on stage, like, no, these are the real winners, guys. Me and all my friends just gave them all these awards. Like, nobody cares. This is Oscar tier bullshit, if not worse. Because I don't think the Oscars like favor specific directors or specific companies in what they do. I think it's more about like political allegiance and like virtue signaling and like political thing. Like in the video game world, it's all about like enabling Xbox, PlayStation, and the third parties. Presenting them as if they're like market industry leaders when really they're anything but. They are regressive. They are holding the industry back. They are causing problems. And this list is just straight up embarrassing. Like, what did they think they were going to accomplish with this? Like, what did they think they were going to do? Like, that's my mindset. Like, they're not going to influence anybody. They're not going to change anyone's minds. They're not going to magically just get people on board with like the PlayStation. If anything, I think this is like yet another nail in the coffin. After Baldur's Gate 3, after that disaster, the Game Awards is done. Like, they're never going to recover from that. Tears of the Kingdom is like not only still being talked about and played, it's the greatest Nintendo game ever produced, now, according to IGN. Like this game that the Game Awards tried to bury, year one has just gone on to be bigger and better than all of the games they've tried to promote over the past several years. Like, this is not an isolated occurrence. Like, we keep seeing this happen, you know, and I'm very curious, like, at what point is the general public going to acknowledge that the Game Awards are corrupt, that we can't take them seriously, that we shouldn't listen to them, that they are presenting these award shows specifically to promote specific brands and companies, not even in the AAA space. I've long said that like Supergiant is an industry plant and that they fucking suck. While Team Cherry, for all their faults, are a bit more organic with an actual audience of people who like their games. Like, they are trying to imply that Supergiant Games is better than Team Cherry, which, as someone who didn't like Silksong, that is just completely laughable. Hades fucking sucks. Like, Supergiant has never produced anything of value in their entire career. Okay, like, and it is so remarkable to see this happen and to see so many people like try and like defend the Game Awards to try and keep the narrative going, to keep the grift going, when in reality it needs to be put down. It is unacceptable for this award show to exist, honestly. Like, we do need to get the sponsors out of it. We do need to like shut this thing down. We need to not watch it. We need to do everything we possibly can to denounce this show and what it's trying to do. It is embarrassing how long this grift has gone on.